Okay, so again, as far as I could fix it with Photoshop, just to give a direction to you guys, because as Jimmy said, there is a lot of things that needs to be rendered and passes and elements. This is the core. This is the heart of the final result. This is what defines your images, if it's okay or if it's a top quality. But again, with whatever I could do, let's go just try and see what Fadi sent us. Fadi is one of our students, took a few classes, and he's a really, I'd say, famous designer, because he got some, I think, the best of house awards, or his stuff everywhere. Yeah, so the design is good. The design is good. There's little things that, from my personal experience, I know architects would point out immediately. First would be the line right here. We can see that it's not he's not using guess vertical shift or vertical tilt for the camera, so all the lines are not aligned properly. Now, regarding the colors, I don't know why, Fadi, you gotta check your monitor, because if I'm taking samples of that background sky, it looks kind of yellowish, greenish. Your ceiling look also yellowish, greenish. So those needs to be either blue or white. You have white color which became yellowish everywhere, and that makes the whole image a little bit washed out. So what I did first, I put some levels in order to add contrast. Then I added some curves, very minor. Then I added color balance, and this is where the biggest change happened. Now, if I'll take this and I'll click Ctrl-Shift-E and I'll combine all the layers together, and I start sampling colors, we can see that the ceiling colors is going more towards the blues, and this is more, and also the background here, getting the blues colors. So this is more appealing to the images that have big openings like this one, when you have a lot of light coming in from the outside, and naturally that light will bring with it a bluish color. So inside the interior we'll always have the combination of warm color that's been created inside the interior while the light is bouncing, but close to the windows and the openings where the light coming from the outside, those are the areas that you might get blues, and especially the background with the sky is going to have a blue color. So if we just compare this, and I'm gonna hide and unhide, we can see that the change of color is bringing the contrast and also depth to an image. Now I see here that your background also not aligned properly. I see a lot of users having that mistake. They put in a background, but the background is either tilted or not proportional or stretched, and it's not really following the lines. So the best would be just to draw the lines. That's what I do. I'm putting lines of perspective. Let me make a little thicker so we'll be able to see it here. So I'll probably put one line of perspective here and see that that background image is following it. I'll probably put another line of horizon, so we can see that this image is a little bit below the horizon line, so we need to pull it up a little bit up to here. And then we also see that there is a palm trees and there's another tree on the side here. They all kind of bend towards the left, so they're not standing straight. And also there is a street light that also kind of not really straight. So this is why I pulled this line here, just to show you that your stuff is not standing straight while your lines of the windows are going down straight. So when you get those, they just jump, and I see those immediately when the background is not aligning to the lines of your interior or exterior space. So always try to draw lines horizon line, and go with the lines. If you have window, go with the line with the window like I did here, in order to see how the background should properly be aligned. And the last thing, of course, I added here, those are the lines. So yeah, basically that's the stuff right here. You do the lines and you do the color correction in order to get that white color to your white ceiling plates, because without it everything looks very yellowish, as you can see right here. And I see you kind of tend to do this in few of your works. So I'm not sure if it's your monitor that's not been calibrated, but generally speaking, this is my comments. Let's go and check out another one. So pretty much same here. We get a little bit washed out, and we don't get much enough light at those back wooden panels. So what I did, I added exposure, and if we go to exposure, what I did, I just increased the gamma. So by increasing the gamma, I'm kind of bringing all the dark areas to a better situation where I can start seeing the details, because like this I just don't see much detail in the wood. But sometimes when you do this in Photoshop, you might overexpose. If you're increasing the gamma, you might overexpose the already well lit areas. So what you need to do is just double click on the layer, click Alt, and pull this string just to remove this effect from the lit areas that's been hit by light, and leave it just at the dark areas. So that means I'm boosting up my gamma, I'm bringing up all the shadows one stop higher, but I'm not overexposing the light areas that's been in the light or using any source of lights. Above that, I'm using color correction. So again, everything here, like Fadi's image was, everything here becomes kind of yellowish. And when I'm adding color correction, I'm bringing the natural colors back to the image and into the objects, into the natural looking wood. Above that, I'm adding curves, very interesting curves here. Let me reset that, and I'll show you what I did. So, oops. So I clicked on auto just to see how it's going, and it made a little correction here, but I can see that my darks areas are not really corrected. So I just started doing manual in different points of the curves. So that gives you better control. It's much better to do something like this than just go and do 2 points, 1 point dark, 1 point light, like we do usually, or something like that. You gotta have something in between in order to have a little bit more accurate control over the image.
Right? Can I actually add something to this? Yeah, do you remember me mentioning about having overblown areas in your render?
Yeah, we can see some of those. Yeah.
And that's like irreparable, so to speak.
You cannot bring that back. I mean, especially in JPEG.
Yeah, it's just a JPEG. You just can't. I'll try and avoid.
Well, we're giving here a direction to a user that can take it home and try to achieve the same method. The same result that we'll be giving, that we're showing here. But again, in order to fix and provide full service, in order to make it really photorealistic, we need to go actually and re-render this again with a lower value in the multiplier of color mapping. This is what I do. I just reduce the burn multiplier if I'm using Reinhardt. If I'm using exponential, I think it's called multiplier, but the effect is the same effect. Whatever is
Yeah.
overexposed is going down and not getting into overexposure if you're lowering down the burn value. Let's move to the next one. Here's also a very interesting image. Kind of came in a little dark. So what I did first, I put two curves. I put curves and I put levels, and both of them I used on the auto level. I just clicked auto, and this is the results that they gave me. They kind of fixed it automatically. And then I did some color balance, and we can see color balance actually popping out stuff really good. And after doing color balance, I added some brightness contrast just to add more contrast to the details, but we can see that the brightest contrast made all the shadows here super dark. So for that, I used the same trick that I showed you in the previous one. I added exposure, gamma correction, and I also removed this from the light areas. So I only left it in the dark areas. That means I'm only popping out my dark spots right here. But again, it was not enough, so I just duplicated the image. What I did is Alt Shift Control E, and I used another trick that's called Adjustment Shadows and Highlights. This is what I did. I brought this, and all my shadows automatically became lighter, so we can see before and after. Because here we're starting to lose detail under the table and under the chair. The shadows look too dark. So this effect needs to be only in those shadowed areas. So what I did, I just used mask and I started painting away all the lit areas. So I opened the mask, I got my brush, and I started painting this stuff out. Pretty easy. And eventually at the end, towards the end, I added some hue, and then hue I went to separate channel, red, yellow, and I started kind of tweaking the saturation value and see how this stuff works. And we can see that while increasing the yellow color, we get a really nice presentation of that
definitely.
lamp.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it wasn't there before. Like if you open the original image, this is how it came in, and within I don't know how much, 5-10 minutes, we're getting this result, which is much more appealing, much more whelming and welcoming to the user.
For sure.
And
big kudos.
Yeah, yeah, I see this pattern very repetitive. I fixed now 3 works, and basically in those 3 works I used almost the same tools. Okay, so let's move forward. Here's another one. I actually really like this one. This is how it came in. Again, same comment about the background, not really matching the horizon line. Also not really matching, it looks stretched and it looks out of focus. So you guys make sure you're getting really high resolution background images, because when you render your image with 2 or 3K and you're using background, I don't know, 800 pixels, obviously it's gonna come out very blurry.
Gobo Tree is one of the best for that.
Yeah.
Gobo Tree.
Yeah. Yeah, they have
really high res angles from every angle possible, every lighting condition, you name it.
Right.
It's all there.
Yeah, I'm gonna post the links that you shared here. I'm gonna post below this webinar, and we're gonna take this webinar and we're gonna put it into our package of VRaySOS, which I'm gonna talk to you guys in a few minutes. So let's go back. First thing first. What I didn't like about this whole image, again, it's all yellowish and it's getting the same comment. And by adding color balance, we're getting the nice bluish color coming in from the window, and we're getting nice yellowish color inside the interior. Above that, I'm adding some curves and then adding some brightness contrast just to pop out the details. And then I'm adding something really cool. I'm adding the layer. It's like half vigneting, half vignette, half light. So how does this stuff works? I'm opening a new layer. I'm putting this on overlay mode, and then I'm taking a black color here. Maybe not completely black. Oops. But I gotta take something. So overlay works like this. If it's gray, 128, you will not see anything. This is like the starting point. Everything below 128 starts to get darker, and we're get somewhere here, this color. And with this color, what we can do is start painting the corners here, and the corners will become darker. So we're getting this nice ambient inclusion, vigneting effect to the image. Now, same thing with the white color. We don't want to put it on white. We want to have it somewhere here, light gray. With this color, we can actually paint a light coming in from the window. So this is a little bit too much. I'm gonna click Ctrl-Shift-F, bring the fade panel, and reduce a little bit the opacity. So something like this. So within few seconds, we're just directing. The image looks a little flat, but by adding those vigneting effect and lens distortion and some glow coming in, and direction of light is starting to get its core, we can see that the image is getting more photorealistic by using those effects. And
right. Can I just add one thing just before you finish? It's I forgot to mention that there's a really nice IES light, to create pools of light on floors.
Yeah.
I think it's number 14 because there's a package.
Yeah.
Of
30
IES lights that
IES lights. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 14 is the best one. It creates some amazing patterns on the floor, and that's exactly what you'd like to see in all those images that come with recessed lights. Yeah.
Yeah,
Number
we
14.
can see number 14 here. Got really
Yeah, you
nice.
see those pools of lights there? Amazing.
Yeah.
Like when I found out about that particular IS number, it just made my interior render look so much better for it.
Yeah.
Because all the other ones, the pools of light are not so apparent, but number 14, it gives you the accurate, really nice photorealistic gradient of a pool of light on the floor, which you see on real photos of recessed lights.
Yeah, we can see it's got a really nice hot spot going all the way down. Also 19.
Yeah.
14. Yeah, something very very good to try out.
Yep.
Final thing that I'm doing to this image is I'm gonna press again Ctrl-Shift-Alt-E. I'm gonna make an image from all of the layers below, and now I'm gonna go to high pass and make a really thin lines with this high pass. Click OK, and then put this high pass on overlay mode. And this is what's going to pop out all the details. It's a trick that I use to get my sharpen effect. I don't really like to use sharpen effect with Photoshop because it burns the sharpen into the image. This is separate layer that you can control with opacity. But we can see on the speakers, we can see the letters on the books. Without the effect, they all like blurry and gloomy, but with this effect, everything starts to be defined. I even can start seeing the letters, and the cloth and all the other stuff has started to work really good. The image looks good. The only thing is what's bothering me, and I couldn't fix, is the background. But if you kind of hide the background and you just concentrate on the interior, it looks not bad. With IES lights that Jimmy suggested, it can be even better. Okay, let's move to the next one. Also interesting image here, kind of beginner's
Very nice. I
level.
like it.
Yeah. The greens, the light is, everything is a little bit, I mean, it's okay, but there's a little weird mistakes. Like, I don't get this. We're getting the sunlight here, but then there's this reflection, this object being reflected in. I guess it's the window here that's been reflected in this material, which is hard to understand. What kind of material is this? Is it wood or is it plastic? The reflectivity is not showing the right amount to identify this object. So first thing, I did some levels to boost it up. Again, I'm using auto mode just to give me the indication. And if it's not right, I'm gonna fix it manually, but if it's right, I'm gonna leave it as it is. The second is I used color balance just to balance everything, kind of looks a little bit bluish. Then I used curves to boost up all the lighting, and then I used brightest contrast. Hue saturation came over it just to reduce the oversaturated greens. And then again, if we would able to have some passes and some masks, this would come out much better. But I just copied the floor, and what I did is I took this floor, it came out like this in the original, and I put the floor on the overlay mode, and it gave me this nice saturation and nice lighting effect. So everything that needs to pop out needs to have good contrast. You can either select the layer with mask, duplicate this object and put it on the overlay mode, or you can also treat it with curves and masks. I would pretty much get the same effect if I would do it, but I didn't have the mask, so I had to duplicate it and you know, kind of clean it up and isolate it. But that's the final result. It came like this, very gloomy, not contrasty, washed out. And after adding those effects in 5 minutes, we actually got a really nice image.
Yeah, definitely.
It's hard for me to understand again the material of this white kitchen. I mean, I can see some glossy going on here, but it's we need to have some more references. But besides that, I like the flowers, I like the greens, I like the apples and this orange juice. All the other stuff works really fine. Concrete came out not bad. The painting here also pretty good. So good potential to that image. And just in a few seconds we can see how this gone from kind of beginner stuff to a little bit more professional. All right, another one we had this one, Victorian style, Baroque Rococo, came in pretty dark. So the first thing I had to do is to do some brightness contrast, but brightness contrast brought too much saturation. So I did some exposure and I did some curves, and then I did some color balance just to balance this whole thing out, because exposure with the higher gamma is what gave, you know, this detail a little bit more presence in the scene. Without the gamma, it's everything just too dark. You don't really see the detail. However, by adding all of those effects, some of the stuff here got a little bit overexposed. So there is not much you can do with JPEG when the stuff is getting overexposed like this. It's just you have to have your render from the beginning, from the raw side. You have to make it, you have to go higher with your ISO in a camera, or you know, you have to see how you can boost up the lighting, maybe with adding more lights to your scene, or just tweaking the camera. It's one of those. But generally speaking, this is the direction that this image needs to go in order to be properly exposed. Regarding materials, probably materials also needs to be tweaked, This image of a girl here looks stretched to me horizontally. It looks nice, but it's stretched, and we're getting those overexposed areas right here a little bit. Things that I couldn't really fix because I don't have the original file. All right, so again, before and after, that's just the direction that I'm trying to put you guys when you're doing your 3D work. Another one, almost the last one. Again, same things. Image, very washed out. The wood doesn't have the natural color. All the other colors pretty much the same. And the most important, we have the white ceiling, which looking very yellowish, just because this yellow light is bouncing, picking up the yellowish from the floor and spreading the yellow color all the way around the scene. So first thing, I tried to fix it with one color balance, which gave me a nice effect, but I had to add another color balance in order to balance it down. And then I added curves, I added levels, I added hue saturation, because after adding curves and levels, I got very, very saturated results. So by toning down and trying to bring the color back, I added hue saturation, and above the hue saturation I added some brightness color and contrast, and I also removed the I also removed here because you see it was getting overexposed, way overexposed, so I had to reduce the amount of that in order not to give too much overexposed areas. All right, so natural wood, you gotta work on that, work with references, and break it down into elements and try to get nice color to the wood, because this is the only thing that's lacking here. Also yellowish floor. I guess when you fill this up with more clothes and products and different other objects, it will look more final and rich. But regarding this is as far as I could give you the direction in which this image should go. Last one, Eleonora. She sent me quite few images. I'm guessing this is a photo here, and you did some photo montage putting those buildings inside. The buildings are looking good. The only thing is with those buildings here is their glass. The glass looks very washed out, and maybe the material also here, it's a little weird. It's hard to understand if either it's a wood or on it looks like the same material you have on the roof and the buildings. So those materials probably needs to be different. And if it's a wood, I need to see some wood gips. So the quality, let me put this in 100%. Yeah, it's hard to see the wood texture. I would use a little bit better wood texture. And something with reflection here, I think that's what I was talking earlier, that users do too much glossy reflection, too blurry reflections, and then what it does that exactly effect right here. You start losing the sense. It looks reflecting, but you don't see really what's reflecting. It's so blurry that you get to the point when you start losing detail in this texture. So generally speaking, the image looks good. I would just fix the windows here. Okay, so what I did is just duplicated your image like I showed earlier, and I put it on the overlay. So it gave me, let's add another 25 minutes. So it gave me very contrasty look to the whole area, but I actually need to have this only on my windows. So this what I would do if I would had rendering elements. I would able to easily isolate this and fix it just by using this. But you can see already that by doing this, your glass is start to look more natural and more defined, because glass is always like that. It's very hard to see glass that's actually having so much glow in it. It's either has to be really, really dirty, or or it has to be very foggy day, but then the fog needs to be everywhere. So I see a lot of fog in this glass, and you can fix it just by adding some overlay mode. Okay. All right, so we closed 2 hours of webinar, and yeah, massive webinar, a lot of information. I hope you guys liking it and enjoying it so far. I wish we could fix all the images and fix them properly, go to 3D Max, tweak the lights, tweak the textures, but we try to cover as much as possible. Architectural visualization is a huge subject by itself. You gotta be photographer, you gotta be matte painter, you gotta be designer, you gotta be everything. You gotta know how this world works. You gotta be to the point when you can assist God in creating things. Yeah. This is basically what you do. You're recreating what God already created, and your task as a good 3D artist is to get as much as possible to the real result. So this is where the observation and the work with the reference and the work with 3 methods that we mentioned today, level 1, level 2, and level 3, will take you to the desired result. We have people already asking when we're gonna have the next webinar. Yeah, this a lot of information. I know, a lot of information, a lot of pro stuff. Guys, stay tuned. Subscribe to VRaySOS, and we will send you more updates. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna build here in VRaySOS. We're gonna build huge library of stuff. It's gonna be free stuff. Yeah, gonna be completely for free. You're gonna get in and you're just gonna download all of those manuals, including this webinar that we put out here. Right. You'll be able to watch it. Those guys that came in late to this webinar, you'll be able to watch in this VRaySOS platform. More videos coming up. I thank you very much for joining us on this wonderful weekend. Yeah, thanks a lot to Jamie, and hope to see you with us.
See you later.
All right, see you later, guys. Bye. Peace.
Bye. Nice weekend to everyone. Cheers.